Hey, what exactly do you think you're doing? I know you stole my money. Give it back to me right now. Yeah, give it back to Sophie. That's her allowance. What money? I don't know about any money. I shrugged as I walked toward my bed, ignoring Sophie's furious face. After that, I had to listen to Sophie throw more accusations at me. Blah, blah, blah. I know it was only because I was a tomboy, so surely if a girl chooses to have short hair and wear baggy clothes, then she must be a thief. Poof! Eventually, I reached my breaking point. Quit with the accusations. I didn't steal any money. I didn't even know you had money. I know you took it. If you don't return it to me this instant, then I'm going to tell Miss Hopkins. Her idle threats didn't bother me, so I just flopped down on my bed and played on my phone. Talk about a heavy atmosphere. Ugh. Then I saw them all frantically checking their phones and giving each other confused looks. So I took an earpod out and heard a phone ringing from over by Sophie. Isn't that your new phone, Sophie? Why don't you pick it up? What? No! Sophie stuttered while Bella and Carly stared at her, all confused. I walked over to Sophie's bed, lifted the pillow, and yep, there was a brand new iPhone 13 Pro Max. So, Sophie, if there's nothing wrong with your brand new phone, then why did you feel the need to hide it so badly and not answer my calls? She nervously chewed on her nails, then blurted out, Fine, I spent all my allowance on a new phone. I knew my parents would be livid that I spent it so quickly, so I thought it'd be easier to blame you, since you're new and look kinda intimidating. Nice. I stared at her. You could have, found someone dumber to mess with, as I already see right through you and your dirty schemes. But whatever. Girls, I'm sorry. She gave Bella and Carly pleading looks. Please forgive me. They both shook their heads and told her that she'd have to ask Miss Hopkins, the dormitory supervisor, for a room change, else they'd tell everyone what she did. So Sophie angrily packed, then moved out. When the room was Sophie-free, Carly and Bella apologized to me, then helped me tidy up my stuff. I smiled at them. No worries, it's cool. After that, they wouldn't quit complimenting my clothes and style, and how smart I was. This was flattering and all, but I kept my chill exterior. That weekend, the school took us out on some woodland activity day. Our teachers organized a treasure hunt and divided us into groups. I ended up with Carly, Bella, and these two other girls. The teacher handed Bella the map, and she held it up the wrong way. I think this map's broken. I chuckled, took it off her, then using the first clue we'd been given, I quickly found out that we needed to walk 100 steps east and find a tree by the lake. Turns out, all of the other clues were as easy peasy as the first one. And soon we'd finish the game. In first place. Everyone was gawping and clapping at me. Poof, it's just a piece of cake. We were on our way back to the dorm room when Carly sidled up to me and said, Hey Sam, you did great today. Oh, it's nothing. Puzzle games are my cup of tea. Hey, I have an idea. Let's form a detective team, as our school still has a few cases unsolved. That's a good idea. With the Sherlock Holmes minds of ours combined, nothing is impossible. Then the three of us looked at one another and laughed. I gave a nod in agreement. I mean, a detective agency sounded kind of fun. And that's how the CSI detective team was born. It stands for Caroline, Samantha, Isabel. Of course. At first, everyone laughed at us because they thought this group was nonsense. But then, the math exam was stolen, and through our expert investigation skills, we linked it to none other than Aubrey, the top student in the class. Hey, we even caught the creep who broke into the school to spy on the girls. And it was only a matter of time till everyone began to recognize our talents. One day, the three of us were standing at the locker when a series of message alarms rang out. It turns out that our school's confession page has a new post claiming that Liam, the most popular boy at school, was seducing, then defrauding numerous girls. They also posted some of the love notes Liam had slid into the girls' locker to manipulate them into giving him money. The message showed, I can't wait to take you on a special date,
but my debit card won't work. If you lend me yours, I'll make our date unbelievable. I promise. X.
OMG, this is unbelievable. At that moment, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned around to see a sullen-looking Liam standing there.
Please, you've gotta help me. These are all false accusations. Please help me find out who did this.
And of course, all of us nodded immediately. No one would refuse to help a boy as cute as Liam. Oh, I mean, we're the school's famous detective team, so how can we ignore this? Right?
Yeah, right. I rolled my eyes. I didn't blame Carly for liking Liam. I mean, everyone likes him. I guess even I did. Bella then interrupted my daydreaming.
Come on, guys. Let's focus on our job. I think the person who did this must have some kind of grudge against Liam.
Everyone agreed and started investigating, which led me to sneak into Liam's dorm and rifle through the bin. Bingo! I found a scrunched up piece of paper with the messages Liam had supposedly sent to his victims, scrawled in green ink. Then, who should just so happen to have green smudge on their hand but James, one of Liam's roommates. It turns out, James did this just because he was jealous of Liam's popularity. How petty. Well, this success certainly made the detective group more credible. We actually had our own fan base, and I was always overhearing other kids talking about us in a good way. Best of all, Liam was so grateful to us that he started hanging out with us more. We even went to the park with him one weekend, and he bought us all ice creams. Carly kept on flicking out her hair and giving him doe-eyed looks, while, being the chilled girl I am, I kept it at a smile and a thanks. The only one who didn't seem impressed by Liam was Bella, who took the ice cream, forced a polite smile, then ignored him. Oh well, at least this meant one less competitor for his affection. One day, we were having lunch when we overheard the girls at the next table talking about how a girl saw a ghost in the old chemistry lab, and it scared her so badly, she refused to leave her bedroom for days. According to the others, the legend of this ghost had been around for a long time. Now, this sounded like a job for the CSI, but Bella immediately folded her arms and shook her head.
No, I'm not going. There are no ghosts in this world.
I firmly said, yep, so we have to go and clear this up. But no matter how much Carly and I tried to persuade her, she point-blank refused to go.
Don't you know about the curse? If anyone goes looking for this ghost, they will be cursed and have bad luck for the rest of their lives.
Didn't you just say there are no ghosts in this world? So why does that dumb curse bother you?
Actually, I'm afraid of ghosts.
I looked at Bella and tried not to laugh. Okay, so you stay in the room. Then me and Carly went to discuss plans for the evening. We were hiding in the corner of the chemistry lab. Jeez, it was boring in here, and I was kinda hungry. I should have brought snacks. Suddenly, a cold wind blew past us. It made me all goose-pimply. Carly shook my arm and whispered,
Sam, let's go back to the dorm.
Shh! I heard something. Footsteps. Then I felt a touch on my shoulder. I looked at Carly. Then we both screamed and bolted for the door. Thud! We hit something and fell to the floor. I scrambled to get up and saw Carly with her eyes closed and praying.
Please, ghost, please forgive us.
What are you doing here this late? I looked up. It turned out to be a frowning Miss Hopkins. Yep, we both ended up getting a week's worth of detention for sneaking around at this hour. Ugh. After Miss Hopkins gave us another lecture and escorted us back to our dorm, Bella looked at us from her bed and said,
I told you that you'd both end up cursed, didn't I?
I snorted. I mean, a curse was nonsense, right? But then weird things started happening to me and Carly. My history assignment disappeared 10 minutes before the deadline. Carly went to put her sports kit on and found it covered in mud stains. And our personal items kept on disappearing, then reappearing in weird places. Worse still, the rumor of the detective team being cursed spread very quickly. Enough was enough. I needed to investigate this so-called curse and get to the bottom of it. I told Bella and Carly what I planned to do, but they didn't seem convinced.
No! What if something bad happens? I'm never going back there!
Sam, you shouldn't go there either. Okay, chill. I won't do it. It's just an idea. Calm down. That's what I told them. But the thing is, I don't give up easily, and I needed to figure out what was going on. So that night, I snuck out of the room and went to the lab alone. The hallway leading to the lab was so dark and quiet that I could hear my own breathing. Then suddenly, I saw a dark figure standing in front of the lab door. I tiptoed over. Then I heard a voice.
Did anyone see you?
So ghosts can talk now? But wait, why is this voice so familiar? I shone my phone flashlight at it. Bella? And Liam? Bella startled.
Listen to me first. It's not what you're thinking.
Oh my God, had my friend been betraying me all this time? I immediately turned away and stormed off. Bella tried catching up with me to explain, but I didn't want to hear it. It was her all along. She'd played those sneaky tricks on Carly and me, so we thought we were cursed and wouldn't go back to her and Liam's secret rendezvous place. Back in the room, I told Carly what had happened, and we decided to ignore Bella. That's what she deserved. One day, we were eating lunch when Bella came over. Both of us were about to leave, but Bella hurriedly said, "Please give me a chance to explain." There's no need to explain. We know what you did.
I know I messed up, but it's only because I'm afraid you guys will react like this, and I didn't want to lose our friendship.
I put down the tray and reluctantly sat down.
I've been dating Liam for a while, and we were going to go public, but then I could see that you both liked him, and I was worried you'd be mad at me, and our detective team would disband. God, you're such an idiot! Do you think we're that selfish?
So yeah, we have a bit of a crush on Liam, but if you told us you were dating him, we would have been cool with it. Hearing that, Bella looked embarrassed. Then she gave a reconciling smile. Then we all hugged each other and promised that from now on, there would be no more secrets between us. And of course, the CSI detective team is still active, and now even has a hot new boy member. Yep, you guessed it right. It's none other than Liam.
But I like you. You know that.
Right at that moment, a girl walked over to them.
Babe!
Immediately, Nom turned around and pulled her in his arms. Here you are. Then he kissed her on the lips, and Ronnie was frozen in her spot.
Who is she?
I forgot. She's Chi, my girlfriend.
Hello. What? You're lying! If you have a girlfriend, I must have known!
Just want to keep my personal life and work life separate. Cryptic much?
Then Nom and his newly announced girlfriend walked off, leaving Veronica behind with a broken heart.
But I've liked you first! So my love since I was 14 had withered even before it started to bloom? Turns out I was just fooling myself all this time.
That night, Veronica couldn't sleep a wink. It was too painful for her to face the truth, but she couldn't help showing up in Nom's hotel the next day. But little did she expect that since that day, she was everywhere in the hotel and literally clinging to Nom.
Oh, bae, sit down here. You've been wandering in my dreams enough. Your legs might get hurt.
So you come sit here too. I'm afraid I have a serious vitamin D deficiency, because I was far away from you, my only sunshine for the whole night.
And that only made Veronica filling in frustration. And also suspicion.
Say I woke up early to cook for you. My bae needs the most organic and fresh food ever in this world. But he's allergic to peanuts! Oops, is it so? You, cheese, right? It's chi, no ending sound. Whatever. What kind of girlfriend are you not knowing your boyfriend's allergy? How reckless. His face would be seriously swollen like a chipmunk eating that. There must be something off between them. Hey, how did you guys meet?
We met in Delat.
Right, on a business trip, Thursday, September 21st, last year. It doesn't need to be that detailed, does it?
The next day, Nom's hotel was throwing a small party within the staff. It was fun, but seeing the lovey-dovey couple was only a bug in the eye to Veronica. So she left for some fresh air, and when returning to the main hall, Veronica overheard Chi talking on the phone with somebody. I got what you want, bae. You're right. This guy Nam has nothing besides being rich. What? So she just used Nam for money? What a snake! Veronica was about to jump to confront her, but she'd gone away, so she immediately came to find Nam and was excited to expose his so-called girlfriend's real face. But instead, he went blast on her.
You stop your nonsense already! She's a good-natured girl, not some spoiled young lady who insists on having anything she wants.
Are you implying I am that spoiled young lady?
Your words, not mine.
You've gone too far, Nam. I like you, but it doesn't mean you can talk rubbish about me. Okay, fine. I'd leave you alone. And with that, Veronica ran away, tears streaming down her cheeks. This is what he's been thinking of me? I've known him for ages, but now he treated me like a thorn in his eye, and even thought ill of me just because of some random girl? Right then, Chi approached Nam. Is there something wrong?
Nothing. Anyway, thank you for your cooperation. Seems like she's not gonna be messing anymore.
You're welcome.
And also deliver my thanks to him. His idea is top-notch.
Then Nam left, but he wasn't sure he's happy with what just happened.
Was I too harsh on her?
Early the next morning, Veronica was woken by a knock. What are you doing here? I remember not making any troubles to you since last night.
Today I will have a trip to Hoi An to build a customized tour for our hotel's customers. Wanna join?
No, I don't want to bother you.
If so, what a pity. I just happen to know a good bang me, Hoi An. But you don't want to go. It's okay.
Huh? Why didn't you say it sooner? I've always wanted a bite on Hoi An Bang Mai. Sign me in.
By the way, it's bang me, not bang my.
Okay, bang me.
Yeah, that's it.
Later, when they arrived in Hoi An, Ronnie was mesmerized by the medieval grace of this ancient town. The streets of gold and yellow houses were blooming in colorful paper flowers along with vibrant lanterns. Wandering around the town, Ronnie felt a surge of excitement and nostalgia about her country of birth that she parted since she was small. Aw, this is cute. And here! Ronnie, now we look like twins. Let's take a picture together. Twin my butt? Oh, I almost forgot the real reason I'm going here. But they came to the Bang Me store to see it was jammed with people queuing. That didn't make Ronnie waver a bit, as the mouth-watering Bang Me was the only thing in her mind now. She had been patiently waiting for her turn for almost 30 minutes. But right then there was a girl with little puppy eyes looking up to her. Ronnie looked at her, then her newly baked Bang Me on her hands, and after a few seconds of hesitation, she gave it to the little girl. Hey kid, it's now yours.
Huh? What's she doing? Hasn't she been longing for it all this time? Got bored already?
Poof! I just don't want those kids to wait under this scorching heat.
Okay. Go wait under that tree. I'll get you another one. You want some?
Nah, I've eaten enough. Nam's buying bread for me. So sweet! His kind offer made her heart dance like crazy. Not knowing from afar, she was glaring at her with bullet eyes. Ronnie was happily devouring her bread when she noticed an old woman with the bamboo yoke selling something strange. What's this?
Bang Nhạc Do.
Buy it. Yummy, yummy.
It's Vietnamese dragon beard candy.
Candy? So those threads are edible? Buy it for me, Nam.
Bae, only kids like this.
But Nam still agreed to get some for Ronnie. She was excited about the strange snacks, maybe too excited that she blew the powder so hard, accidentally getting it all over Chi's face. What? How dare you? Oops, I'm so sorry. But you look like Snow White. Just a bit of a variation.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm okay. Super okay. No big deal, sis. Do I look okay to you? I think she's not some kind of sweet girl she seems to be. Just wait and see. I'm gonna expose you. And you know what? If Nam wasn't here, today would be your end. Later that night, she secretly went outside to meet someone. How shameless she is! The audacity of her acting flirty with someone having a girlfriend? I'm afraid she would mess up our plan, hun.
If so, we'd better hurry up.
I know what to do. The next morning, seeing no one around, Chi snuck into Nam's office and rummaged everywhere. Gosh, this clean freak! Where would he keep the documents? Then a mysterious drawer in the shelf caught her eyes. She was about to crack it when Nam's assistant walked in.
Hey, what are you doing here? It's not a place you can easily walk in like this.
Then do you know who I am to speak disrespectfully like this? I'm your boss's girlfriend, so I can go to his office whenever I want.
You guys, stop! Miss Mai, you can retreat now.
When the assistant left, Nam looked around his office, now turned upside down for some reason.
Chi, can you tell me what you're doing in my office?
Nothing. I'm just looking for my purse here. And you've just embarrassed me in front of your employee while you're supposed to protect me. Then a big falling out broke between them, and right at the time, Veronica was passing by and heard their lousy arguments.
Ooh, what's this? I said it right. Everyone knows they're not for each other just by looking. See? They're already beefing each other fiercely even before I lay a finger.
Then I had to remind you that you're just my fake girlfriend. Please know the boundary here.
Fine, your fake girlfriend will go. Let me see how you deal with your tail. Isn't the purpose of hiring me to chase off Miss Annoying Veronica? Mind your words. You need me more than you think, sweetie.
Veronica was shattered into pieces with the information she just got.
So nothing's going on between them for real, but Nom hates me this much to even hire a nobody to be his girlfriend? Just to get away from me? What did I do wrong?
That night, Ronnie was crying to sleep with an aching heart. Days after, she locked herself in a room and buried in blankets with the haunting thoughts she couldn't brush off. Nom texted to ask about Ronnie, but now she didn't want anything to do with him. It was not until Grayson knocked the door that Veronica sluggishly got up.
Ronnie, are you okay?
I'm fine. Just leave me alone.
What do you mean, fine? Look, your eyes are swollen like golf balls. Nom asked me about you. Hey, are you two fighting?
Just go! Ask about me? Drop it. I'd better not trouble Nom no more. Guess I'll go back to the States now.
As saying, she immediately packed all her stuff and booked the flight at night back to home. On the way, she saw a familiar figure.
Chi? What is she doing here at our house at this time? Bae, I'm here, and I brought you the thing you asked me to find in Nom's office. It surely could help our plan.
Sensing something off, Ronnie followed her to a dark alley, where Chi set up a meeting with her mysterious partner.
See what you got, my sweet pie?
Veronica couldn't believe her eyes. Her brother and her crush's fake girlfriend were hooking up?
What the heck happened here? You and her?
Grayson and Chi looked stunned.
Why are you here?
It is as important as what I'm seeing right now. Better have a good explanation for this.
They exchanged their looks, and Grayson finally gave in, telling everything to his sister.
Okay, Ronnie, listen carefully. It's me who suggested Nom to have Chi as his fake girlfriend. Actually...
What? But you two?
Yes, she's my baby girl and he has no idea.
But what for? For his master plan, sis?
It's time you know the truth. You still remember why we're in Vietnam, right? Our resort is having a hard time, and it's all because of Nom. This resort once belonged to his family, but their poor business skills only plunged this lucrative business into chaos. And when our family revived the resort, he got jealous and did everything to put it down again. This little ungrateful brat.
No! Nom isn't that person!
Don't defend him. Don't you see when our family had a scandal? His hotel was suddenly doing better than normal? No way I let that slide easily.
It proves nothing. You cannot accuse someone without any evidence.
Fine, you want evidence? I'll find it for you. Meanwhile, if you can't be helpful, then don't sabotage my plan.
Deal! I'll leave you 1 week, and during that time, you're not gonna do anything dirty against Nom as well.
The siblings set themselves in a different side on this manner. Grayson was leaving with his girlfriend, while Ronnie was standing here, trying to process everything. It had been such a hard time full of news and truths to her.
Yes, the Nom I know would never do such a thing, and I will stay here to prove that my brother has been wrong about him. I hope so.
Bae, don't you really let this slide just because your sister said some stupid words, do you?
No way, Bae. You know how stubborn my sis is. I only agree so that she could leave us alone. The plan sticks, Bae.
The next morning, Veronica went back to work at Nom's hotel as if nothing happened.
Oh, you're here? I thought I forced you too much that you dropped already.
No, I'm fine. Who do you think I am? Considering me a bug, and now he even thought I'm a quick quitter? Full combo, huh?
Right then, Chi suddenly appeared, then threw her arms around Nom's neck and kissed him on his cheeks.
Hi, Bae. What can I help you with today? Oh, hi, Ronnie. Long time no see.
Seeing Chi acting shamelessly loving around Nom in front of Ronnie when she knew all the truth even irked her more.
Can't underestimate this snake. What is she scheming? I'd better watch out on her.
Later that day, while working near the kitchen, Veronica spotted Chi doing something fishy.
Come on, just let us see it for once. Not like it's that good. Ugh, what do these jocks know about art anyway? I quickly stooped down to pick up my precious drawings, and that's when I heard a voice. Oh, do you like anime too? Is this a series Under the Moonlight? OMG, don't tell me you're Oda's Eye. Yeah. Is it really you? I'm Tia. I'm a massive fan of yours. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm meeting you in real life. So, the nerdy guy is me, James, and the cute girl is Tia. This is our first conversation together, the one where she found out I'm Otazai, which is my pen name. Soon after that, Tia became my girlfriend. It was good dating a girl who shared the same interests as me. We could just watch anime together all the time. Just like that, we were immersed in the movie Amagi Brilliant Park. Suddenly, Tia turned to me and asked, "James, the school Halloween party's next week, and I have no idea what to go as." "Hey, why don't you try dressing up as Latifah Florenza?" Tia gave me a skeptical look. "No way can an ordinary girl like me pull off dressing up as such a beautiful anime girl." I smiled. "Of course you can, don't worry, I'll help you." So we started planning our costumes. I was going to dress up as Gojo and Tia as Latifah Florenza. Exciting, right? We went online to watch tons of anime dream girl makeup tutorial videos and joined cosplay groups to get our costumes. Buying costumes was the easy part. But the anime girl makeup technique was a pretty hard job to do. Big round eyes, unnatural eye color, thick and long eyelashes, pointed chin and a small mouth, etc. Ugh, that was Tia. Bet she just broke another eyebrow pencil in half. This makeup stuff seems stressful, huh? I arrived at the party first and waited outside for Tia. I felt kinda cool in my Gojo costume, and I couldn't wait to see Tia in hers. OMG, is that Tia? She looked even more beautiful than the goddess in the story. I couldn't stop complimenting her kawaii. As we walked inside, everyone was gawping at Tia. I took her hand and I led her into the center. And of course, Tia and I could clearly hear some of them saying, "Who's this? Tia? James's girlfriend?" And, "Is that Tia? I can't believe that girl used to sit next to me in class." This was definitely a proud boyfriend moment, especially when she was voted best dressed of the night. Some hot girls dressed as sexy animals even rolled their eyes at her before they walked off in a huff, while Tia jumped up and down in happiness. I'm so happy for my girl. Then on Monday morning, I was walking to class, expecting to meet Tia in the hallway as usual. Only this flamboyant girl with completely pink hair and wearing a Japanese manga schoolgirl outfit was standing in front of Tia's locker. Huh? What? I cleared my throat and said jokingly, "Hi, babe. I love your new hair and, your outfit." "Really? I'm glad you do. I've decided I'm going to be an anime girl from now on." What? So she was going to look like this all the time? I mean, I like her anime look, but surely it was best saved for a special occasion. While I was standing there unsure of what to say or do, I realized that a crowd had gathered around us. Well, around Tia. The one girl almost knocked me over as she ran over to Tia and asked for a picture with her. Well, I always thought I was the one around here who liked anime. Anyway, seeing Tia happily taking pictures with her admirers was pretty cool. Who wouldn't love having a pretty and famous girlfriend, right? After that, Tia became an internet sensation, and other kids from school seemed jealous that a girl like her was dating a dude like me. These two guys from class even had Tia's picture on their lock screen. Creepy, I know, but that just proved how desperate they were, right? But have you tried going out in public with an anime girl? Well, it takes about 10 times longer than normal to do anything. All these fangirls and some fanboys, appeared out of nowhere and started taking Tia for a chat and pics. She loved it and made a heart hand symbol to them while I stood there like the invisible man. To be honest, I gradually realized that having an anime girlfriend was really irritating. Why, you ask? Just be calm, I'll tell you. That morning I had an early math test, so I couldn't be late. But I also had to pick up Tia, and she's nowhere to be seen, so I texted her. "Hurry up, please, my test starts soon." A few minutes later, she huffed away over to me and moaned out, "Ugh, thanks a lot. Now I don't have contact lenses in. Don't you know how important eyes are to an anime girl?" So 0.04 inches of your eye is more important than my test? Seriously, I'm on the verge of failing math class and she's still in a mood with me about her eyes. Then at lunchtime, I noticed that there was something on Tia's lips, so I reached out my hand to wipe it away. "Wait, what are you doing? You're ruining my makeup. I woke up at 6 a.m. to do this." "Babe, you got mustard on your lips." She glared at me, then took out her compact mirror and slowly blotted the stain. So, as you can see, I couldn't even touch her, so of course, she would never allow me to kiss her or something. But honestly, I don't want that makeup to smear all over my face or my lips to turn to coral or purple either. Oh, not to mention how Tia became obsessed with her reflection. It got so bad we could no longer maintain eye contact. or hold a proper conversation without her checking herself out every 5 seconds. For my birthday, I took Tia to this cool-looking Japanese restaurant in the city. But it was a full house that night, and we had no choice but to sit by a reflective glass window. Ugh. So, you guessed it right. The entire meal was spent with her checking for her angles in the window and constantly flipping her hair parting or delicately repositioning her fingers to frame her face. I got so irritated that I asked her if I was interrupting something between the both of them, to which she replied that she just wanted to check if her eyes matched her hair color. I was speechless. This was my birthday meal, but she cared more about her own reflection than actually talking to me. At the time, I was really tired of this anime version of Tia. I just wanted to go back to the way it was before, when we watched movies, studied Japanese, and planned to travel to Japan to see the cherry blossoms together. Then an idea popped into my head. Tia, you want to go camping with me this weekend? Where will we go? Paradise Campground, provided you don't wear makeup. Huh? Why? Don't you like my makeup? Don't you think I look pretty like this? Babe, you're always the prettiest, but I mean, what if I want to kiss you? Tia shyly giggled and agreed. Oh yeah, so we're gonna have a weekend together by the woods, and I get to see the same old Tia again. Everything sounded like a good idea, right? But that morning when I arrived to pick her up, she appeared in her full anime look again. Ugh! Huh? Why are you in makeup? This is an amazing photo opportunity. I need new photos to post on my Instagram. Okay, this really ruined my mood, but instead of arguing, I drove Tia to the campsite. Then you know what? Turns out that weekend was literally just a photo shoot for her. She wanted pictures of everything. It was really too much. We couldn't walk 100 feet without her stopping to ask me to take more pictures of her posing by a tree, a tent, and on one occasion even someone's lost sneaker. Ugh. Then at night, she only wanted to play on her phone, as she had a lot of editing to do. It seemed like everything we did was only for a photo op. This drove me crazy, so I ended up shouting at her. All you care about is your stupid fans and not me. You're no fun anymore. Then I turned onto my side and sulked like that until I eventually fell asleep. I just wanted my fun, carefree girlfriend back, not this obsessive anime character she'd turned herself into. When I got home, we didn't talk to each other for the next few days. I kept myself busy by drawing doujinshi, watching anime, and learning Japanese. Aw man, these things were way more fun when I did them with Tia. Then one day at school, when I was walking toward my locker, I overheard some crying girl saying some boy had rejected her. And her friends were consoling her, telling her that they would teach her how to put on makeup and give her a makeover so the next boy she liked wouldn't reject her. This got me thinking. Tia used to be so negative about herself until she started dressing like an anime girl. Only then she became so confident and vibrant. Maybe I had been a little bit insensitive about her feelings. I needed to go find her. As I showed up at Tia's house, I saw her standing by the door with some good-looking boy. I can't believe it! Furious, I threw the flowers on the ground and turned to leave. James, don't go! Just wait for me! I kept on walking, but then stopped as I heard the boy say, That loser doesn't deserve a hot anime girl like you, Tia. You like anime girls? Then go find yourself one in anime stories. I'm Tia, and I'm not just some character for you to look at. James, I'm sorry. Don't be mad at me anymore. I only tried to be an anime girl just because I know you like them. I let out a long sigh and looked at her. The truth is, I wasn't mad with her anymore, but I tried to keep a straight face as she continued. James, don't give me the silent treatment. I'm miserable without you, and I don't care when other people say I'm pretty. I only care about what you think. Then she burst out crying. I couldn't pretend I didn't care anymore. I wiped away her tears and cupped her face in my hands to look closely at the girl I love. But wait, under the smudged makeup, what are these tiny red spots exposed on her skin? Oh my God, what's wrong, Tia? I don't know. I was a bit itchy at first, and recently it's gotten worse. Concerned, I took her straight to a dermatology hospital. The doctor said Tia was allergic to some ingredients in makeup products and prescribed her medicine. Phew. Luckily, she just needed to stop applying the makeup for a while and use some special cream to recover. What if you go off me because I can't be an anime girl for a while? Tia, I love you for you. With makeup on or not, you're still the most beautiful girl in the world to me. Anyway, your health comes first. You really think I'm beautiful? Yes, really. Besides, this is actually better, because it means I can actually kiss you without looking like a clown. So Tia and I got back together. Tia finally realized that I love her for her, and I care about her health and inner beauty, not just her appearance. Now she doesn't wear makeup like an anime girl anymore. Well, unless it's for a party or a cosplay event. On a daily basis, she only has light makeup on. Regardless of this, she always looks perfect to me anyway. As for me, I'm working on a new doujinshi series called I Don't Need Attention, I Just Want Your Heart, which is inspired by Tia, and she's my muse, which she's super excited about. And the series will be published soon.
I want to meet Mr. Garcia. It's important, I told the receptionist. She looked at me confused and said, "Sorry, but no one under that name works here." What? But he's the company director. The receptionist gave me this bewildered look, then firmly said, "I'm sorry, but no one under that name works in this company. Maybe you've got the wrong building." Fine. If she wouldn't help me, then I'd find him myself. "Miss, wait! You're not authorized to go there!" Unfortunately, I didn't get very far before 2 guards raced over and pulled me away. As I tried struggling free, I yelled out, "This is ridiculous! I'm your director's girlfriend!" Suddenly, a smart-looking man appeared in front of me and calmly said, "Madam, are you looking for Austin Garcia?" "Yes," I nodded. The man sighed, then continued, "Austin did work here, but I fired him months ago. I have no place for someone with such lazy, carefree attitude in my company." I stared at this man open-mouthed. Oh no. So he was the director, not Austin. So, my boyfriend had been lying to me from the start? When the guards led me out of the building, I saw people gawping at me, and I overheard one of them say, "Oh my God, another gullible girl got scammed?" This couldn't be happening to me. Austin was my super successful, rich and handsome boyfriend. There must have been some mistake. He couldn't possibly have scammed me. Could he? I was showing my housemate Sarah the amazing designer bag Austin bought me when he walked into the room and slouched onto the couch. Okay, so what was with his glum look? "Babe, it's just that my company has this big project on. I invested $100,000 already, with a 5 times return expected by the end of the year." Wow, what a huge project. I felt so proud to have such a perfect boyfriend. But then he lowered his voice. "Yeah, looks like I'm gonna have to bail on it." I widened my eyes and asked, "Why? What's up?" "I need to contribute another $50,000 by the end of the week, but I'm still $10,000 short." I blurted out, "I can help." He shook his head. "Babe, I can't expect you to do that. Besides, where would you find that amount of money from at such short notice?" "I'll borrow it from my friends or something. Don't you believe your girlfriend can do it?" I winked at him. He kissed my forehead and then with a huge smile on his face, told me I was the best girlfriend ever. After I counted up my savings and student loan, I was still a few thousand short. So, I told a couple of my friends that my parents had been in an accident and I needed money urgently to pay for their hospital fees. I know lying was lame, but I'd pay them back soon, so what would it matter, right? But then a week after I'd given Austin the money, he showed up at my house looking completely bummed out. He told me he'd met an unexpected problem and now he needed another $15,000, else he'd lose everything. I wanted to help him, but I had no one left to borrow money from. I thought he'd be understanding, but instead he just said, "You can borrow money from a loan shark. Then in a month, we can pay it back." I gave him a confused look and asked him why he didn't get the loan himself. He stroked my hair and in a soothing voice said, "I would if I could, Hannah, but you're a student, so your interest rates will be much lower than mine." That made sense. Plus, we were going to be together forever anyway. So what did it matter who took the loan out? So that same day, I borrowed the rest of the money from a loan shark and handed it over to Austin. "Hannah!" a voice shouted, which startled me from my thoughts. "Hannah, give me back my money. I need it urgently."
My friend Rachel glared at me. I felt so flustered as I blurted out, "Soon! A few days, I promise." She rolled her eyes at me. "Yeah, whatever. Poof! I thought you had a rich boyfriend, right? Why don't you ask him to help you out?" I forced a smile and repeatedly told her I'd pay her back soon. This was so embarrassing, and now my friend hated me. Ugh! It was all that jerk Austin's fault. The truth was that as soon as I handed him the money, well, he disappeared. His online accounts, number, everything. All gone. I even found out that the house he claimed to be his was actually just some Airbnb rental. Oh, and the designer bag he bought me? Fake! The next day, I was walking to my lecture when I heard two girls talking to each other. Hannah owes people loads of money, but won't pay it back. Isn't she always boasting about having a boyfriend? I lowered my head and hurried past them. This was so humiliating. I needed to figure out a way of finding that jerk Austin and making him give me my money back. Oh, who could that be? Maybe it was Austin with a perfectly reasonable explanation for everything. I ran to the door and opened it. Oh, it's just some strange girl. "Where is Austin? Tell him to come out here now!" she yelled. "And you are?" "His victim! He tricked me into giving him all of my savings!" She pushed past me and stormed inside. "Austin, stop hiding from me and come out!" I pulled the girl's arm and asked, "Hold up, he also tricked you?" She looked at me with wide eyes. Oh gosh, Austin's such a pro scammer. After that, we sat down and she explained everything. Turns out she's called Leah, and Austin scammed her out of $50,000. OMG, that was so much money. Austin is a real jerk. Suddenly, my housemate Sarah and her boyfriend Weston walked in. "Hey, look! I won this Tales of Suspense Volume 39 in the horse race bet the other day. You know, it's super rare." Weston was so excited showing Sarah his new precious comic book, while I forced a smile at them both, then quickly dragged Leah up to my room. There's no way I wanted Sarah knowing that I'd been scammed. Entering my room, Leah suddenly said, "Hey, do you want your money back?" I nodded. "Of course I do, but now I don't even know where he is." She gave me this sly smile as she told me how Austin adored the Marvel Universe, and that comic Weston had could be used to lure him in. So we went downstairs, waited for Sarah to go into the other room, then we asked Weston for his help. At first he refused, but then we offered to split the money with him 3 ways. Eventually Weston agreed, and so, game on! Starting off, Weston posted it on a comic book marketplace for half the price it was worth. Only $150,000! Unsurprisingly, it wasn't long before that snake Austin slithered into his messages. Great! We arrived at the meeting spot super early and hid behind a bush. 30 minutes later, and Austin still hadn't shown up, and I had a dead arm. Ouch! I whispered to Leah, "Do you think our plan was leaked?" She grabbed my shoulder and shushed me. Austin had arrived. He took ages to check the book, really carefully. When they finished the exchange, I jumped out of the bush and shouted, "Austin, there you are! Where's my money?" His eyes widened in terror, and he quickly tried to run off the other way, but Leah jumped out in front of him. She sneered and rolled up her sleeves, stepping towards him. "There is nowhere for you to run, jerk!" Austin was terrified and stepped back. Then I ran up behind him and snatched the comic out of his hand. "Girls, look! He turned pale and immediately turned and hurried away. He even lost a shoe en route, but he didn't dare to stop to pick it up. It was so hilarious watching him hobble off. Thank you so much, Leah. It felt so good to get revenge. Anytime. We clinked our glasses together. Girl power and all. Ugh, my head hurts so bad. Where's Leah? I guess she must have gone home. I went over to my closet. Where's the backpack with my money in it? I frantically turned my room upside down looking for it. Could it be? I called Leah, but there was no answer. That was it. Leah and Austin were definitely the same. Why did I have to be such a gullible idiot? There was a loud banging on the door, so I opened it. 2 huge guys were standing there.
Hey, beautiful. Pay us back soon, or else.
Then they left. I freaked out, not knowing what to do. Find Leah and Austin? It's futile. I know it. So I started working like crazy. I delivered newspapers and milk in the mornings, then waitressed most evenings. I was so exhausted, but I had to find a way to pay off my debt before I drowned in it. Then one morning, Sarah came downstairs to find me asleep, face down on my piece of toast. She gently shook me awake, then told me she'd got me a paid intern job at her uncle's hospital. Yay! Thanks, Sarah. You're the best. The first day at my new job went well, so I decided to reward myself with a bagel and hot chocolate in the canteen. That's when I walked straight past her. Leah! She spotted me too and ran off, but I chased her into a dead end. Where's my money? I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, she sobbed out. Then she told me how the night that we'd been celebrating, she'd received some bad news. Her brother was in an accident and needed emergency surgery. Panicked, she took the money for his hospital bills. Are you tricking me? This is 100% true. She wiped at her tears. Maybe I felt a little bit sorry for her. But no, what she did wasn't cool. Besides, she could be lying to me. I mean, I did also use the ill relative's excuse to get money off my friends. So I dragged her to reception to check. Turns out she's telling the truth. Her brother is in a coma and the bills are obviously very expensive. What Leah did sucks, but she's all her brother has. So I guess I can kinda understand why she did that. So it looks like I've got to continue working my butt off for now. That weekend, I was about to leave for work when I opened the door to see those thugs back again. They shoved past me and started picking up valuables. I shouted at them to stop and that I'd get their money to them soon, but they didn't listen to me. Then they picked up Sarah's laptop. Oh no! Right at that moment, Leah showed up and demanded they stop right now. Then she proceeded to pay them what I owed them. Huh? What? How did she have the money? Well, it turns out Leah's brother woke up from his coma. They talked, and she found out his specific research had just won first prize in a nationwide competition. So he gave her the prize money and told her to pay off my debt. I was so ecstatic. I flung my arms around her and kept on saying thank you. Now I was debt-free. Phew! I could finally pay my friends back and put all of this behind me. Huh? What was that? We both looked outside. Isn't that Austin? But why does he look so frazzled? Oh, turns out 5 angry-looking girls are chasing after him. I looked at Leah, then we both burst out laughing. And that, guys, is karma. Why do we have to study logarithms? Will they help us with stockbroking? Surely not. Why suddenly create the X and then force us to find it? And why do I have to prove that it's an isosceles triangle? I see clearly that it is. Duh! Then I received the note back saying, "What are you two talking about?" I just figured that another kid had intercepted it. So with my eyes still glued to my level 3692 of Candy Crush, I scrawled back, "Keep your nose out of my business," and then handed the paper over without looking. Ahem. but your business is taking place in my class. I slowly looked up and saw that it was my teacher. Oh, dang. Busted again. Looking over, I saw Brett with his big guilty face. Ugh, he should have been more careful. Okay, you. And you. Out. You're probably wondering how I'm such a pro at this pose. Well, it's because I've done it 1,000 times. And that serious woman over there is Mrs. Megan, my math teacher. I swear, she totally has it in for me. Okay, let me tell you the story. Once upon a time, there was a girl who, due to an unexpected accident with a trash can and an ill-placed skateboard, ended up arriving a teensy bit late for her exam. But the teacher refused to let her in, and also failed her. Grrr. Yeah, that girl was me, Lexie. Thus, from that moment forth, she became my arch enemy. So, during her boring lecture, I threw a paper plane at the board and said, "Miss, you've spelled arithmetic wrong. I suppose spelling is a bit hard for a numbers person like you. It's okay." Clearly my comment got to her, as during that same class, she picked on me to graph a function. Easy peasy. So I created a masterpiece that made her eyes roll, and the whole class found it hilarious. And as expected, she gave me a lengthy lecture on my childish behavior, and even threatened to call my parents. Poof! Yeah, good luck with that, as unless it involved business, then my parents were practically impossible to reach. Besides, I was just having a laugh. Mrs. Megan needed to lighten up. So I secretly stuck a piece of paper saying "free hugs" on her back. I lurked behind a tree and watched as all these people surrounded her. She looked so bewildered as she tried to navigate past them while having no idea what was going on. The good old days. Suddenly, Brett patted my shoulder and told me 30 minutes had passed and we needed to go back to class. My butt hadn't even touched my chair when I heard a patronizing voice say, "You shouldn't act like that." Ugh, that's Faye, the teacher's pet and a real pick-me girl. Every time the teacher asks a question, she wriggles her arm in the air and squeaks out, "Me, me, me!" Mrs. Megan only likes her because she always laughs at her boring jokes. Oh well, I may have no proof, but in my experience, Faye's definitely not as innocent as she looks. Don't say I'm jealous, 'cause I'm 100% not. You probably think I hate school, but it's still way better than my so-called home. Ugh. At least school could be amusing, while my home life consisted of Mom and Dad locked away in their office 24/7. I can't remember the last time either of them cooked dinner. So takeaway it is. So I'm texting Ben, my super sexy BF. He's been studying in France, and he's back today. I've missed him so much, but unfortunately, I couldn't pick him up from the airport because of, school. And tonight, he has a family party, but we're meeting up tomorrow. Yay! Let me see your face, sweetie. I miss you. You know what? Today, that teacher gave me detention again. Really? She messed with the wrong one, didn't she? Definitely. I will retaliate tomorrow. She'd better watch out. Okay, but don't end up in after-school detention, as I want to see you. My mom's also a teacher, but she's not that much. Oh, by the way, she's here. You want to say hello? Yeah, sure. Ben, it gets on my nerves whenever I think of that Before I had a chance to finish my words, a person popped up on the screen. Mrs. Megan! Lexie? OMG! We both gave each other stunned, open-mouthed stares. It looked like the screen had frozen. Literally! Then just when I didn't think it could get any worse, suddenly a familiar voice broke the silence. Oh, Ben has a girlfriend? Let me see her. Huh? That's Faye! Oh, my days, this is too much to process. My two enemies were in the same frame. Shocked, I ended the call. Right after, I received a text from Ben saying, "Don't worry, my mother may look super serious, but she's kind. And the girl is Faye, my neighbor. We've known each other since childhood, and she's cool." This was so crazy. Now I'd have to face them both every day, knowing that they're associated with my BF. Oh, the future is as dark as night. And yeah, this is the beginning of the series thusly entitled Living with My Future Mother-in-Law and My BF's Annoying Female Best Friend. And since then, things at school turned weird. For our class Halloween event, which had a Toy Story theme, Mrs. Megan was in charge of handing out the parts. Faye was Bo Peep, and she had this really cute outfit. While me, I was stuck as Mrs. Potato Head. My outfit was so lame, and one of my googly eyes kept on falling off. Ugh! It was so embarrassing, but I couldn't say anything. I couldn't mess with her anymore, as I still wanted to be with her son. Ugh. Worse still, math class became an endurance test. I was so sick of being compared to that goody two-shoes Faye.
Lexie, if you spent more time studying and less time painting your nails, you'd be a top student like Faye.
Poof! Faye caught on to what was going on and also started playing tricks on me. One time in class, when I was dozing and Mrs. Megan was correcting the homework, I overheard, "This symbol shows that A is not equal to B." Faye then turned around and whispered,
"Just like you, you're not equal to me. And you don't deserve my Ben either."
What? Ben is mine, not hers. I bared my teeth and was about to say something when that brat started pretending to cry, saying that I was picking on her. Out! Mrs. Megan came to us with burning eyes. We were walking out when in a sympathetic tone she added, "Faye, you stay." I returned to my meditating pose, but I couldn't shake off my anger. How unfair! Later, when it was lunchtime, Faye walked over to me with a cup of Coke, saying it was a peace offering, and that she was sorry for earlier. This was confusing, but whatever. I took it and was about to take a sip when Brett rushed over waving his arms about. "Lexie, stop!" I saw Faye put soy sauce in it. I was just a second away from yelling at her when Mrs. Megan appeared. I smiled smugly, thinking Faye would finally get into trouble. But to my surprise, Mrs. Megan took a sip of the drink and tried to keep a neutral face as she replied, "There's nothing wrong with it." Really? They went that far to cover up for each other? Whatever. I had a date with Ben tonight to prepare for anyway. That night as planned, I arrived at Ben's house with a somewhat wilting pot plant for Mrs. Megan. I was kinda excited to finally have a cooked meal. Only, when I walked into the kitchen, I couldn't smell anything cooking. Mrs. Megan appeared and rubbing her hand said, "Lexie, you don't mind cooking, do you? It's just been a long week of drawing diagrams. My hand kinda aches." Seeing the situation, Ben immediately came to help, but she reminded him that he'd agreed to fix a pipe or something. To be honest, I'd never touched a frying pan before. But I mean, how hard could it be? I'd make pancakes, though it's not really suitable for dinner, but I'd seen them on a 5-minute crafts and they were clearly a breeze to make. Only, it didn't go to plan. In situations like this, it's important not to panic. But, yeah, I panicked. I needed a plan B. Quick! In a rush, I threw away all the evidence of the failed pancakes and ordered food online. After all, thanks to my workaholic parents, this was my forte. I instructed the delivery person to come to the back door, so Ben and Mrs. Megan would be none the wiser. Expectedly, at the very first bite, Ben and my mother-in-law praised me profusely for my food, and Ben even joked that I should join the next season of Master Chef. Yo, I will rate this restaurant 5 stars for sure. Mrs. Megan suddenly dropped her spoon, so I quickly bent down to pick it up, only she leaned down and whispered sarcastically, "I order from Sydney's too. Their sauces are divine." Oh, busted! Then, halfway through the night, this man showed up and apologized for being late. Turns out, he was Jim, Faye's father. but Faye wasn't coming over as she was out with friends. Happy days! I watched Mrs. Megan and him touch a tissue box at the same time by mistake, and then blushed? Huh? Oh, I get it. She liked him. Now it made sense why she was always sucking up to Faye. Have you thought about remarrying? I asked Jim innocently. To the waiting eyes of me, as well as Mrs. Megan, he hesitantly answered, I don't think Faye would like that. Mrs. Megan glumly stared down at the floor. Okay, so I actually felt kinda sorry for her. Besides, matchmaking has always been my hobby, so I decided to help her. I knew that Faye was at a party on Saturday night, so I decided this was the perfect opportunity to play Cupid. I told Mrs. Megan that Jim had something to tell her, so meet him at the Golden Reef restaurant at 7 p.m. Then I told Jim the same. I stood behind a column and watched them share their starter, and then give each other gooey-eyed glances. Then Jim reached out and took Mrs. Megan's hand. They were looking at each other passionately when Faye suddenly rushed in from nowhere and angrily slammed her bag on the table.
So this is it? My teacher? And my dad? For real?
Faye, why are you here?
Jim stuttered.
No one can ever replace Mom!
Then she turned to a dumbfounded-looking Mrs. Megan.
Turns out you were only being nice to me to get my dad. You're fake. Stay away from us.
Mrs. Megan covered her face with her hands, then quickly left. Geez, Faye was brutal. And however annoying Mrs. Megan was, she didn't deserve that.
You!
Faye shouted. Uh-oh, her gaze fixed on me.
It figures you'd be behind this. Keep your big nose out of our family business and start caring about yours instead. Guess this is what lack of parental care does to a kid.
I stared at her speechless. Those words should have driven me mad, but for some reason, I only felt sad. And so guilty. I really just meant well. So, first thing at school the next day, I swallowed my pride and went to Mrs. Megan's classroom, where she looked lost in thought as she marked homework. I coughed to clear my throat, then said, Miss, I'm sorry. I honestly was trying to help, but now I realize I should have minded my own business. I'm also sorry for being a jerk in your class. She was silent at first, then replied, It's okay, as I've come to realize that you and I aren't so different. We both have complications in the way of finding love. Guess it's really not easy to get approval from your parents' family, huh? She smiled and gently stroked my hair before continuing. You're such a smart and kind girl, and I always knew you could do better in class, that I must have been too harsh on you. I'm sorry, too. I smiled back at her, and at that moment, I felt like all of our previous conflicts melted away. And I realized that I shouldn't neglect my studies. Instead, I should work hard to become the best version of myself. So, with a lot of hard work, I went from trailing at the bottom of the class to reaching the top spot, even overtaking Faye. Ha! Speaking of Faye, she was still ignoring both me and Mrs. Megan, and never put her hand up in class anymore. But then a rainbow flame experience in the chem lab changed things. Everyone ran out of there when the curtain caught on fire, except for a terrified Faye. Luckily, Mrs. Megan rushed inside to rescue her just in time, and covered her with a jacket as she led her to safety. After that, Faye realized that Mrs. Megan is a good person who cares about both her and Jim. So, through blurry eyes, Faye sobbed out, "Thank you so much, and sorry, I was too childish. Please forgive me." A few months later. So, yeah, you see, my wing woman plan worked. And now I have a second family, a really big one. But you know what's the best thing? That is, I no longer have to order food online anymore, 'cause I will stick to here, and my mother-in-law will cook for me.
I'm so excited as it's my graduation ceremony tomorrow. Eek! And today I'm on my way to the airport to pick my mom up. I can't wait to see her, but, well, it's complicated. I grew up in Philly, but I've been studying here in Toronto for the last 3 years. I'm so grateful to God for letting me be a girl because, girls' lives are way more colorful than boys' lives are. Clothes, makeup, shoes, you name it. For girls, it's just so much more fun. I understand I'm probably confusing you. Well, up until the age of 18, I lived life as a boy. Kai. Actually, Kai's my legal name. I grew up with toy trucks, dinosaur wallpaper, and a rocket-shaped playhouse. Then, at 2 years old, Mom moved into a villa out in the countryside. It was just us and our old maid Rita. Meanwhile, my father and grandparents stayed in the city and ran the family company together. Back then, all I knew was my family was rich and successful, but I didn't think much about it. Hey, I was just a kid. All I cared about was getting to choose what color tumbler I had my juice in. Mom always said we moved away because of her migraines, which worsened in hectic surroundings. Nonsense. She just wanted to keep me away from the family so they wouldn't figure out I was actually a girl. Crazy, huh? So I must have known I was a girl, right? The thing is, when you're little, you pretty much believe everything your mom tells you. So when she said I was a boy, then I had no reason to think otherwise. Still, I was drawn to girly things like a magpie was to anything shiny. For instance, I tried putting my mom's sparkly hair clips in my short hair, but Mom caught me, took them out, and told me they weren't for boys. Another time, when I was at a play date at this boy's house, I peered into his sister's room and saw all of the Barbies and dolls. Mesmerized, I took one and started playing with it, but then I heard him laughing at me, and he teased me that I was a boy and I shouldn't like gross things like dollies. I didn't like being teased, so after that, I tried to keep my liking for girly stuff to myself. I pretended to like action figures, aliens, and cars, but to be honest, I didn't care much for them at all. But the older I got, the harder it was for my mom to keep up the lie. The trickiest part being the school restrooms. To hide the secret, Mom told me the bathrooms at school were dirty, and if I used them, I'd end up with scaly green skin. So every day on the break, Rita would come and take me home to go to the toilet. At first, people at school thought this was weird, but then I guess they just put it down to odd things that rich people do. The other boys annoyed me. I didn't want to play football or run around the playground pretending to be a gladiator. Instead, I wanted to hula hoop with the girls and plait the manes of their toy ponies. So I did just that. One time, when I was waiting to get picked up from school, me and my friend were flicking through her girly magazine. Then suddenly, Mom stormed up to me and dragged me out of the girl zone. Then on the ride home, in a serious voice, she said, "Kai, boys have to play with boys. It's just the way it is." This sucked, as I didn't want to play with the boys, but I didn't want to upset my mom, so I stopped playing with the girls. From then onward, I mostly just sat by myself and read fairy tales about princesses and mermaids, which I disguised in the covers of boys' books. My mom must have realized how I felt, so she didn't want to risk me being around other girls, which is why at 11, she insisted I went to an all-boys school. That sucked, as I had never really gotten along with other boys, if not to say that I hated them. But then, during lunch on my first day at the new school, this boy called Kevin sat down next to me and passed me half of his candy bar. We became best friends after that, and even built a den together in the nearby woods. Hanging out with him were my happiest days, as in those moments I just felt free. Then one day during a biology class, the teacher passed us sheets with diagrams of boys' bodies. My body didn't look like that. Was there something wrong with me? Confused, I decided to confide in Kevin about this. He was also a boy, so he could help me, right? I held up the sheet and whispered to him, my body is different to this. Before Kevin even had a chance to answer, one of the other boys shouted out, "Kai's different from us, let's go check it out." Then, to my horror, some of them lifted me and started carrying me toward the bathroom. I was screaming at the top of my voice. Luckily, the teacher ran out into the hallway after me and demanded the boys put me down at once. My mom rushed to school ASAP to take me home as she received a call from my teacher about the incident. She tried cheering me up with ice cream, but it didn't work. I was so upset and confused. Mom, why am I different from other boys? She gave a wounded look, sighed, then in a quiet voice said, Before I tell you the truth, I need you to understand that I love you, Kai, and everything I do is to protect you. She hugged me close to her, then continued, I was so desperate for a child, but after years of trying, it felt like it wasn't meant to be. Then I found out that your dad cheated on me with another woman, and she was pregnant with a boy. I stared at Mom with wide eyes, patiently waiting to hear what came next, because so far, nothing made sense. This was hard to bear, but just when I thought my heart would break, well, I fell pregnant with you. You have to understand your father and grandparents have very old-fashioned mindsets on the company and having a male heir to inherit it. So, even though his mistress ended up having a baby girl, and your father agreed to fund them both only if they moved to Miami, I knew you'd never be respected in your father's eyes, not as a girl. That mistress of his would make sure their daughter came back and got everything over you. I just couldn't let that happen. So I lied to everyone that you were a boy. I know you're probably angry with me, and I don't blame you. But you can't tell your father the truth. You can't tell anyone the truth. Wow. So, I was a girl? Now everything started to fall into place. This explained a lot. But of course I was furious. I'd been forced to live a lie just to please my mom. It took a few days before I began to calm down and be more understanding. I guess things must have been really hard for her too. Also, I was kind of relieved I was actually a girl, as deep down I'd always felt a desire to wear pretty dresses and play with dolls. I told Mom this and said I loved being a girl, so she made a compromise with me. I'd continue living as Kai until I was 18, and then I would go and study abroad, as the girl I'd always dreamed of being. After that, I moved schools to keep up the secret. It sucked that I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Kevin, but I was relieved to go to a co-ed school again. Mom said I could hang out with the other girls as long as I kept the secret. Then, when I started high school, things became more complicated. Firstly, my voice was naturally soft, so I had to put on this gruff voice, which would leave me with a sore throat by the end of the day. So I just became one of those kids who didn't say much. I had to spend ages each morning wrapping a bandage around my chest to flatten it, and then I hid beneath baggy t-shirts and sweaters. I also had to do this boy walk. Then there was the bathroom. I swear everyone thought I had bladder problems, as I was the kid who always asked to go to the bathroom mid-class to avoid the other boys. At least there's one good thing out of this was that I didn't have to deal with sweaty PE, as Mom had told the principal that I had a health problem, so I could stay out of these risky activities, especially swimming lessons. But the struggles would never stop. I often looked at the girls with their glossy lips and in their cute vest tops with envy. Oh, how I longed to be able to be who I wanted to be. Finally, high school finished, and true to her word, Mom sent me off to a college in Canada. She sorted all of the paperwork out for me. There, I changed my name to Leanna, and I started my new, exciting life as a girl. I love long, shiny mermaid hair, so I started wearing a wig. I watched so many YouTube videos on how to apply makeup, painted my nails, wore pretty outfits, and tried walking in heels. Okay, all of these things would take some practice, but it still felt amazing. I was finally free of my old fake life and I could just be me. But I knew my family couldn't find out the truth, as it could have catastrophic effects for me and my mom. So I still had to dress and act like Kai again whenever I FaceTimed Dad or my grandparents. Time sure flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? I couldn't believe I was graduating tomorrow, and I was so grateful that Mom would be here to see it. When I picked her up from the airport, we both hugged and cried, then hugged some more. Through sobs, she blurted out, "Look at you! You look so different." "Thanks, Mom." I smiled and wiped her tears away. Luckily, Dad's workaholic, so he didn't even ask to come. Phew, as that would have been an awkward situation. As I wheeled Mom's suitcase out of the airport, she said to me, "We just need to take some photos of you graduating as Kai to show the rest of the family." I didn't want to be Kai on my special day, but I knew it was something that had to be done. So I forced a smile and said, "Sure, Mom, but let's do it where no one else can see us. I don't want my friends thinking I've gone crazy." The graduation ceremony was awesome. It felt so good to be up on that stage collecting my degree as my true self, glossy hair and all. Afterward, I took Mom to my favorite restaurant to continue the celebrations. As I twirled a piece of pasta around my fork, I said to her, "It feels so good to live life as a girl." I was thinking, I want to go back to Philadelphia and tell everyone the truth about who I am. My mom's face dropped, and then she said something totally unexpected.
Ow. Jess, can we please take a break? 15 minutes, okay? I'll go grab some Oreos. Our favorite! Ugh, I hate chemistry. And it doesn't like me either. The only thing I know is that cafe has 2 chemical elements in it. Calcium and iron. My parents are freaking out that I'll fail it. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like I want to be a scientist or anything. Anyway, they asked Jessie to tutor me. Currently, my grade's still lingering around the F mark, but there's no way I'm finding a new tutor. Why, you ask? Well, because Jess and I are the perfect match. We're both addicted to online shopping and love to read about the latest scandals to hit social media. And that quickly turned us into best friends. And this is my ABCDEFGH boyfriend, Bryce, which means attractive, brilliant, cute, darling, elegant, funny, gorgeous, and hot. I lab him. So you're probably wondering how I met such an awesome college boy. Well, it's all thanks to Jess, really. As turns out, she's one heck of a wingwoman. So one time during the break, Jess was looking up her college forums when I spotted Bryce in one post. Wow, that's a hottie! You know him, Jess? I pointed at the post. She then replied, "He's so your type, right?" That's Bryce. I heard he's still single. Go for it. I'll get your back. Oh, that sounds interesting. I grinned back. After that, Jessie went into full-on detective mode. After only 10 minutes, she'd found what block he lived on, what he's majoring in, and even the name of his pet dog. And since then, she instructed me on how to text, reply to, and flirt with him. Cool, calm, and collected. It worked a treat, as by the end of the week, he'd asked me out on a date, and now he's my dreamy BF. He might look like the bad boy type, but underneath it all, he's sweet and shy, just like Edward Cullen. Aww. And guess what? We've been together for 2 months, and, we haven't kissed yet. But, so, how's it going with you and that hot college boy of yours? I don't know. It's just recently, I feel like he's being cold with me. Jess, I know he's read my messages, but he still takes ages to reply. And he never texts me goodnight anymore. Not like before. I'm trying. I mean, he seems happy with the pair of Jordan 4s and the new phone I bought him, but I'm not sure if he wants to be with me anymore. Course he does, girl. You're a catch. He's probably just busy with his studies. I'm afraid he's cheating on me. You know, there's this Sally girl in Bryce's class. I often see that chick following him around, acting all friendly and making excuses to ask him to do stuff for her. Ugh! Don't be silly. I bet they're just friends. This girl needed to watch out, as I wasn't going to let her just waltz in and steal my man. I slammed on the table. Seeing how frazzled I was, Jessie made a suggestion. We would take it in turns to follow Bryce wherever he went and find out exactly what he was up to. A few days later, I overheard Bryce on his phone talking about his study group at his house. Annoying Sally would be there too, of course. So, being the bright spark I am, I paid the pizza delivery guy to attach a microphone inside the pizza to spy on him. But, the only thing I heard was Bryce's hungry stomach. Yuck!
Another time, Jessie texted me. Urgent. Saw Bryce in a jewelry shop buying an expensive necklace. Must be for Sally. Sorry. Fuming, I power walked the 20 blocks to his house. But his mom answered the door and proudly showed off the sparkly necklace Bryce had bought her for her birthday. Oops. Then, on one of my days to follow him, I decided to go in disguise. The problem being it was 28 degrees, so my choice of Sherlock Holmes outfit and fake beard wasn't the best idea. I'd just followed him into a grocery store when the world began to black out and I tumbled straight into a display of cans. The last thing I saw was a group of people leaning over me, including a confused-looking Bryce. Babe, you're awake, but why the freaky costume? I sighed, then replied, I'm sorry. It's just you've been so distant recently. Don't you like me anymore? He chuckled. Maddie, of course. I'm just busy with my graduation thesis. You know, I'm in my final year. Aha! So we were all good. Yay! So the next day, I bought us a set of those seriously cute couples rings from Tiffany & Co. to mark this. Peace was restored. At least for a short time. Lately, whenever we went out on a date, Bryce didn't pay attention to my words anymore and just had his eyes glued to his phone screen. Oof! He even chuckled and had this suspect twinkle in his eyes. So I tried leaning over him to see what was so funny, but I couldn't see a thing, as his screen brightness was lowered to the minimum. What are you doing? I snatched his phone. But what? Wrong password. I bought him this and set the password as our anniversary. Why won't you let me look at your phone? What are you hiding? Nothing, Mads. I just like my privacy sometimes, that's all. Now, come on, baby boo. I'll get you a chocolate muffin. There's no way I was turning that down, especially as thinking about it, it's the only thing he'd ever bought for me. But as I nibbled on my muffin and watched him transfixed on his phone, I couldn't shake away the feeling that something was wrong. I couldn't drag Jessie into this mission, as her studies were occupying her attention at the moment. It's okay. I can solo it. And this time, I won't faint. I swear. I did my research and found the perfect spy software. I know, I don't normally condone this sort of behavior, but Bryce was hiding something, and I needed to find out what it was. The software was simple to use. I just had to find a way to install it on Bryce's phone. The app itself could be hidden, leaving me free to read his messages without him ever finding out. Perfect! Mission 1. How to install that software on Bryce's phone in a really short time? This is not an easy task, as Bryce is so obsessed with his phone, he even sleeps with it. On a few occasions, he does move away from it, but it's for a few minutes max, meaning I needed to move fast. It took me a whole day of practicing to beat the 3-minute mark. I tried it over and over on 4 different phones and at different times of the day to make sure it'd work under any circumstance. By the end of it, I couldn't bend my fingers. Ouch! Mission 1 done. Successfully trained even under time pressure. Mission number 2, detect his passcode. I didn't know what his dumb passcode was, only that it certainly wasn't our anniversary. We went to the cafe and, as usual, he was stuck on his phone. So I held up mine, pretended to be playing games, but actually turned on the camera and started recording so I could track the position of his fingers later when typing the passcode. It took hours. Literally. Bryce eventually gave his phone a break to order some snacks. So after that, he had to unlock his phone again. Oof! Finally, after an hour-long video, I've gotten the footage I needed. Okay, Detective Maddie, ready, set, go. I rewatched the video and started analyzing it as soon as I got home. I stared at the screen with my eyes, following Bryce's hand movements. He could be fast, but honey, your girl is already a step ahead. It didn't take long till I figured out the digits. Easy peasy. Mission 3. Action. What better way than a lovely picnic to complete my quest? And as expected, Bryce just sat there, phone in hand, the whole time. Ugh. I wasn't even sure on how I could carry out this task anymore, but I told myself that the time would surely come. After a few hours, he was bored to death, and without even looking at me, he grumbled, "Babe, let's just go home." I immediately shouted out, "No! Not until it's so nice out here. I want to stay a little longer. You just take a nap." "Fine. Wake me up when you're ready." I waited patiently for him to fall asleep. He was making these light snore sounds. Ugh, cute. I was so nervous. I bit down on my bottom lip as I gently pulled his phone out of his pocket. Then I turned my back to him and typed in the passcode with my shaky hands. And I was in! Yeah! I was so happy that I almost forgot and screamed. I did it all in record time. But he suddenly turned around. "What you doing, Maddie? Can we go home now?" He yawned. OMG. My heart stopped. Just a few more minutes. I'm editing the cute pics we took." "Well, hurry up." Phew, that was a close one. I grabbed my phone to check if it worked, then I turned on the silent mode ASAP, but it still woke him up the second time. As much as I wanted to snoop through his messages, I knew they'd have to wait, so we went home. Ugh! Talk about girl message overload. There were dozens, all of them craftily saved under names such as Monitor and Professor. He'd even used my pickup line on some of them. "Are you made of copper and tellurium? Because you're cute." Ew! Then I suddenly spotted a familiar face. Jessie? What? My bestie was secretly dating my BF? My heart sunk. This sucked. It didn't make any sense. If Jessie liked Bryce from the start, then why had she encouraged me to flirt with him? Jeez, the messages between them went way back. Then I saw one that broke my heart all over again. Maddie's family is loaded. Baby, let's pretend to be her BF, and she'll buy you whatever you want. Just don't take it further. So that explained his shyness, why he hardly looked at me, and why after 2 months of dating he hadn't tried to kiss me. Then a recent message from Bryce to Jessie caught my eye. "She's so boring. I got us enough money now, so gonna dump her next week." How dare they? Only, unbeknownst to Jessie, Bryce had dozens of girls on the go. Actually, he was meeting this girl called Tiffany at the movies tomorrow night. It was time to get revenge. So pretending to be Bryce, I texted all of the girls, including Jessie, to come to the cinema at 8 p.m. tomorrow. I borrowed my dad's baseball cap, wore my oversized sunglasses, and arrived there early, so I didn't miss the show. I even bought some popcorn and a Coke, as I wanted refreshments to watch this blockbuster. Then, at 8 p.m. sharp, Bryce strolled over, and boom! The girls arrived one by one, figured out what was going on, and started arguing with him and each other. Tiffany threw her popcorn over his head. Hilarious! And another girl called him a jerk and whacked him with her handbag, while the others were shouting and pulling his hair. And me? Well, I lurked in the background and secretly filmed it all. Oh, sweetheart, you're so dead! Wow, Jessie, our main character, has appeared. She took one look at the circus going on in front of her and instantly looked like a lion ready to pounce. She stormed up to Bryce, pinched his ears, and dragged him while in a high-pitched voice he said, "Ouch! Ouch, Jess! It's you who taught me all of this! I'll call you later, babes!" When these two almost passed me, I pulled off the cap and shades and jumped out at them. Voila! Could someone come and help me pick up their jaws from the floor? Couldn't expect Maddie the mastermind, huh? I didn't stick around for their explanations. Instead, I shimmied off. But I did send her a little souvenir. Jessie is my best friend, so I have to share anything interesting with her, right? Have a good night, my bestie, and my ABCDEFGH boyfriend, you too.
But let me add the IJK. I'm just kidding. Yeah, as for me, I've decided to give my heart a break for a while, as this has taught me a priceless lesson. Don't be smitten with handsome boys. Oh, and be wary of sneaky so-called besties.
Hey there, I'm Adeline. I know at 19 I may be young, but I understand how cruel the world can be. My family used to be super rich. As a result, I lived in a massive house, went to the best schools, and had some out-of-this-world vacations. What I didn't realize was my dad was carrying around a big secret. His company had gone bankrupt. Being the proud man he was, instead of telling Mom and me the truth, he let it beat him up. When I was 10, he committed suicide and left Mom and me with a whole load of grief and guilt to deal with, and a house we could no longer afford. That's why we moved out of our palace to come and stay with my grandma in a small town. I always just presumed that after finishing high school, I'd go to college. My ambition was to study finance. Now, this seemed even more necessary as it meant that in the future, I could rebuild Dad's empire and make him proud. I didn't have an allowance anymore, so I was reliant on my part-time job in a restaurant to get me by. I'm pretty smart. Therefore, in my first few terms of college, I managed to get scholarships, which were my main financial source. Unfortunately, this term there was only one full scholarship available. The problem is that, as smart as I am, there's this other guy called Ryan on my course who's even smarter. In previous examinations, even though I crammed day and night and drank a whole load of coffee to stay alert, I was always one step behind him. It's so annoying as I knew he was a rich kid, so he didn't even need the scholarship. He was also good looking, and loads of girls swooned after him. You name it, he aced it. From coursework to girls. Jeez, he was the most frustrating person ever. I guess all my whining about Ryan was sending my roommate Bella crazy, as she told me to shut up and that I needed to use my assets to outplay Ryan. Thinking about it, her idea made sense. Ryan was always going to be smarter than me, so if I couldn't beat him, then I'd just have to distract him so he'd fail the test. I know this seemed mean, but it's not like he needed the scholarship, right? Bella let me borrow some of her cute clothes, showed me how to style my hair and how to do my makeup. I suddenly turned from Cinderella into a princess. Now, all I needed to do was approach Ryan and put my scholarship success plan into action. After class, Bella and I deliberately followed Ryan. As I walked past him, Bella jumped out and nudged me, causing me to tumble into him and drop my books. He immediately rushed to pick them all up and passed them to me. As I thanked him, I pretended to accidentally grab his hand. Our eyes met, and he smiled at me. Talk about success. The next day after school, I rushed to work. Some days ago, because I was so engrossed in studying, I forgot the work schedule. So when I got to the restaurant, my boss scolded me, and she said that she would reduce part of my wage this month. I looked up at her with apologetic eyes. Then I suddenly felt like someone else was staring at me. I glanced at the order counter and saw Ryan. Talk about humiliating. Being on reduced wages was a disaster, so I had no choice but to find another part-time job to do alongside it. I needed to find something that I could fit around all my studying, so I needed it to have flexible time and shorter shifts. Light bulb moment. I could teach the piano. I had been playing it since I was little, and I knew I was good at it. I designed a flyer called Friendly Piano Tutor at Home, and to my delight, I received a call the next day. I turned up at the address, and to my surprise, found myself in front of a mansion. Did I find the right address? Flustered, I pulled out my phone and called the number they'd contacted me on. I was completely surprised when the person who opened the gate was Ryan. I blurted out loud, "Ryan? Is that you? You've hired me for piano lessons?" And stared at him. "Yeah," he smiled. "Look, I'm sorry for how your boss at the restaurant treated you. And, I have a piano here, so I guess now seems like the perfect time to learn. Since then, I taught Ryan piano. Turns out he was a natural. Typical. Was there anything this guy wasn't good at? Okay, so I found out that Ryan wasn't as much of a jerk as I thought he was. He was actually sweet and funny. We had a shared love of music concerts, and we both longed to own companies one day. One time, I took his hand to move his fingers over the keys when this weird feeling came over me. Was that sparks I felt? Then another time, when I praised him for acing his piece of music, he said, "It's down to my amazing and beautiful teacher." I blushed and quickly looked away from him. I guess he felt them too, as both of us began to blush and the situation went super awkward. It's safe to say, the bond between us grew stronger, but I had to keep things professional as I had the scholarship to think about. So at the end of a piano lesson when he asked me out, I quickly refused. I told him I had to study. He asked why I had to study so much when I was already doing so well. Seizing the opportunity, I told him how if I didn't get the scholarship for the next term, then I'd have no choice but to quit college, as I couldn't afford it. Hearing that, Ryan told me not to worry about it, as he would deliberately make his work worse, so as long as I did my best, then the scholarship would be mine. I felt embarrassed and a bit awkward, but I hugged him and thanked him. But something happened the day before the exam that changed my mind. We had a piano lesson that day, so as I was walking toward the room where the lessons took place, I heard voices coming from his father's study. Then I heard a loud voice say, "It's about time you took a look at Vincent and strived more to be like him. I don't want to live with the embarrassment of having a disappointment for a son." It was clear from all the mistakes he made during the lesson that Ryan had something on his mind. Was it because of the conversation with his father? In the end, I timidly asked him, "Ryan, who is Vincent? I'm sorry, I only ask because I overheard your conversation between you and your dad, and I can see you're distracted." He told me that Vincent's his older half-brother, and the son his father had with his first wife. Vincent was extremely smart and was helping their father to manage a foreign branch. Ryan always felt insignificant in comparison to him, and knew how much his father wanted him to be as excellent as his half-brother was, so he could later help him manage the company. Ryan told me, however, since they were kids, he'd never got on with Vincent, so he didn't want to be inferior to his older brother. So even though he didn't need a scholarship, he always tried to be the best. That night, I thought a lot about everything, and realized that not only did I feel bad for Ryan, but I also had strong feelings for him. I confided in Bella and told her that I wanted to confess all to him. I wanted him to take the scholarship test with his real ability. He deserved the highest position and to make his father proud of him. Besides, did I really want to win by default? Doing that wouldn't have been honorable. When Bella and I were talking, our moody housemate Dee Dee shouted down to us, "Will you guys shut up and let me sleep?" The next morning, I went to school early and waited for Ryan at the college gates. Seeing him, I waved happily, but he ignored me and walked off. I shouted after him, "Ryan, you have to do your best today with all of your ability." That's when he stopped walking and turned to look at me with cold eyes and said, "Of course I will. Dee Dee messaged me last night and told me all about your attempted sabotage plot." Stunned, I lost the ability to talk and instead looked at him with pleading eyes as I stuttered out, So, I know you want to find out what happened next. Stay tuned as the next part of my story is coming soon.